2,000 years ago, the evil dragon Bahamut attacked the world, pushing it on the brink of destruction. Faced with a common enemy they could not defeat alone, gods and demons, two forces that had always been at odds with each other came together. The gods and their angels, as well as the powerful demons, surrounded Bahamut and used their powers to restrain it in chains. Once it was tied down, the king of gods and the king of demons arrived on the battlefield. They attacked the evil dragon from both sides, with humans who supported them watched this battle unfold from a distance in awe. The dragon blocked the attacks of its enemies using its wings and started sending its fragments all over the world. Ultimately, Zeus, the king of gods, and Satan, the king of demons, managed to seal Bahamut. They split the key that could free him into two parts, with gods and demons gaining control of one key each. In the present day, the story revolves around two bounty hunters who have a long and complicated history with each other. The serious-looking hammerhead is named Kaiser, and he is chasing the goofball Favaro on top of a city wall. Favaro jumps from the wall to escape being caught, but Kaiser still follows him. They make their horses do parkour all over the city because there is no PTA in their world to question them, and then clash swords midair. They get on the streets eventually, and Favaro throws some smoke bombs to distract Kaiser while he ditches his horse and climbs on a giant rolling wheel. Kaiser finds him almost immediately and breaks the chains holding the wheel in its place. The wheel starts rolling down and the two bounty hunters have a sword fight on top of it. Favaro manages to distract Kaiser with some banter, making him hit his head on a bridge arch. With that, Favaro is free to go anywhere the wheel takes him, but he runs into some bandits kidnapping some women and ends up crashing into a wall. He is still somehow safe and comes face to face with the thugs who recognize that he's a bounty hunter because of the magic bracelet he is wearing. Suddenly, Kaiser also comes there, and he completely ignores the thugs because he is so focused on Favaro. Favaro runs into a bar where Kaiser follows him, calling him the reason that he lost everything. Favaro doesn't have time for his yapping, so he shoots an arrow at him. Kaiser dodges it, but the arrow hits his horse, who goes out of control and breaks the bar's door before bolting away. Kaiser chases it, and Favaro takes his time mocking him and drinking alcohol. He tells the shopkeeper not to worry about the damage or his tab because he's going to cover for it when he comes back after collecting a bounty. Meanwhile, the three kidnappers are returning empty-handed to their base when suddenly lightning hits their carriage and a girl rises up from the roof of their destroyed carriage utterly naked. The thugs are taken aback to see her and they ask her who she is. However, the girl only looks at the broken magical compass in her hand and sighs that she can't reach her destination now. The thugs think that they can score with the girl, but they are unaware of her true powers and she annihilates them. At night, Favaro goes to collect the bounty of a gorilla-like bandit. He quickly takes out the two lackeys before coming face to face with the boss, who summons some demons to fight him. Favaro quickly runs away from the place and the gorilla chases him along with the demons. He commands his demons to attack and they start breathing fire. However, the puddle under their feet catches fire first and they are burned to a crisp. The gorilla is confused until Favaro shows him that he poured some high-quality wine on the road because he knew the demons would attack with fire. The gorilla attacks him in rage, but Favaro simply dodges and gorilla slips over the dead bodies of the demons and gets pierced by a rake. With that, Favaro simply activates the magic inside his bracelet and turns the gorilla into a collectible Pokemon card. He goes to a fancy carriage, where he meets up with a drunkard god named Bak and his talking duck. Bak is Favaro's employer and gives him the gorilla collectible card in exchange for the bounty. Favaro takes the money and throws a party at the bar, flirting with some ugly-ass women and exaggerating his adventures. He declares that he is going to the dangerous city called Helheim next, and the mystery girl who fell from the sky hears it as she is passing by. She gets her hopes up because she wants to go to Helheim too, and Favaro is boasting that he knows a shortcut to that place. She runs into Kaiser as she is turning around, but pays him no attention and leaves on her way. Kaiser then hears Favaro's voice from inside the bar and he angrily rushes inside because he lost his beautiful horse because of Favaro. He tries drawing out his sword, but Favaro moves quickly and stops him from doing that. He acts friendly with Kaiser, saying that they should enjoy their lives while they are young. He tells the ugly girls that Kaiser is even more rich and brave than him, and they immediately stick to him like magnets. Kaiser can't refuse them so easily because he is a self-proclaimed gentleman, and Favaro uses this chance to sneak away from him yet again. Favaro waters some plants outside when the mysterious girl Amira approaches him. She asks him if it is true that he knows the path to Helheim, because she needs to get there urgently. Favaro was obviously lying back then, so he wonders what to do now. He decides to take his chance and asks the girl to kiss him if she wants to know. Speaking of epic worlds, have you ever wanted to experience your own grand adventure? When you can, Raid: Shadow Legends offers you the chance to dive into an incredible world filled with adventure and epic battles, just like our anime heroes. Raid: Shadow Legends is celebrating the arrival of summer with a special Summer Tavern minigame. To participate, all you have to do is download Raid using my link in the description. Head to summertavern.plarium.com, enter your Raid ID, and join the competition. You'll be searching for hidden items to prepare a refreshing potion for a champion. And guess what? You can win real-life prizes like a smartphone, a gaming console, or Amazon gift cards worth a total of $5,000. Just like our favorite anime characters, you can embark on your own adventure in Raid: Shadow Legends. The game is packed with over 800 champions, constant updates, and a depth of strategy that makes it a blast to play. And here's something even more exciting. Download Raid before July 17th, play for at least 5 days, and hit level 20 within 30 days to get a free 2-month subscription to YouTube Premium, so you don't have to watch any annoying ads while you are watching your favorite anime recap channels. Don't miss out on this rare opportunity. Click the link in the description or scan my QR code to get started with amazing bonuses, including a huge starter pack with the epic champion Terrell from the High Elves faction, who quickly became my favorite champion thanks to his high-powered debuffs that makes my opponent rage quit. If you were able to reach level 25, you will get another epic champion called Rector, who I have recently added to my team, and she is definitely a game changer and one of the strongest supports in the game. Come find me under the name Annie Man. Join my clan Annie Man, and let's conquer the world of Raid together. She just stands there while he tries kissing her, but then someone interrupts them. Favaro looks ahead and finds a baboon-like man with one hook arm, and he claims to be the gorilla's elder brother. He's here for revenge and summons a giant bull demon. The bull demon attacks Favaro, causing great destruction with each swing of his arm. Favaro quickly grabs Amira and takes her to a safe place before drawing his sword and charging at the demon. The demon keeps attacking him mindlessly, but Favaro is too nimble for him. He quickly dodges all the attacks and climbs on the bull's head to stab it. The demon flings him far away, and Favaro loses his sword in the process too. Then suddenly, Amira stands between him and the bull demon. Favaro tells her to run away, but she says that he is her guide and she will protect him. Her eyes turn red and a dark shadow emerges from her feet. She runs towards the shadow while the bull demon punches her, and Favaro's bracelet suddenly starts glowing red to indicate the presence of a strong demon nearby. Amira has transformed into a high demon as she emerges from the dark shadow, and she brings the bull down with just a simple motion of her finger. She then deals some powerful blows to it, finishing it within seconds. In the meantime, Favaro gets his sword back and he stabs the baboon dude from behind before turning him into a collectible card as well. The girls with the baboon run away, not from Favaro, but from the giant bull demon that collapses right above him. He somehow dodges the demon that then gets hit by a piece of falling furniture. Amira approaches him and turns back into a normal person as he blinks his eyes. Favaro thinks he might have drunk too much, but then the girl suddenly kisses him like he was asking earlier, just before he loses consciousness. Favaro finds himself drowning in a sea of infinite darkness. Suddenly, the space beneath him cracks open, revealing the burnt remnants of a city beneath him, and towering above him is the great evil dragon Bahamut. The dragon tries to devour him whole, which ends Favaro's dream, and he wakes up in a cold sweat. The ugly woman from last night comes to wake him up, telling him that he was passed out in front of the bar last night, so she brought him in. Favaro just laughs at everything that happened last night as a dream, and then the woman tells him to take a bath. He decides to take off his clothes, and the woman stares at him without even bothering to hide it. However, her excitement soon turns into horror as Favaro takes off his pants. She says that he has a tail and then runs away, screaming that he is a demon. Favaro doesn't know what she is talking about, but then he accidentally looks at his bare body in the mirror and finds that he suddenly has a demon-like tail. Favaro freaks out upon seeing his tail and tries to pass it off as a dream. However, he can't believe it himself and tries cutting off his tail, but is impossible, and he falls on the ground upside down after failing. Just then, he sees Amira entering his room. She asks him to tell her the way to Helheim now because she kissed him as he asked. The girl tells him that when she kissed him, she cast a curse on him, leading him to sprout a tail. She promises to undo the spell after he tells her the shortcut to Helheim. Favaro makes an excuse for getting fresh air and runs out of the room, panting and panicking because he knows that the girl is trouble. Just then, he sees the lady bringing Kaiser there hunt him down, and Favaro panics. He gets dressed and jumps out of the window to escape, but the entrance is quite narrow, so he fumbles and falls on the road. As he is groaning in pain, Amira jumps on top of him and then asks him to quickly tell her the way to Helheim. He says that he can't tell her, and she slaps him, thinking that he's a liar. Just then, Kaiser comes to the window with the ugly women, and Favaro freaks out upon seeing him. So he takes the girl along and rides away on his horse, and Kaiser is able to catch a glimpse of his tail as he flees. He is aghast by this knowledge and thinks that Favaro has always been a demon and has been fooling him all this time. Later, the royal knights come to the town, and the captain of the knights declares that they are here on the order of St. Jean to capture a demon in human form. He asks Kaiser if he knows anything, and he replies that he knows but cannot tell them. He declares that it is his life's mission to catch that demon and bring him to justice, and he swears on his honor as a knight to bring it to the knights himself. Suddenly, one of the knights hits him down, telling him to stop acting like a knight when he is a lowly bounty hunter. Those words remind Kaiser of a terrible memory from his past where his dad was executed, and he believes Favaro is at fault for that. Despite his subordinate's rudeness, the captain of the knights believes that Kaiser's determination to catch his enemy will make him stronger and takes his leave. On the other hand, Favaro and Amira have already left the city. They head to another city as Favaro explains that the journey to Helheim will be long and expensive, so he needs to collect some bounties first. This time his target is a goat-like demon, and Favaro enters his house to find him acting like a mounted trophy. The goat demon takes him by surprise, breaking the wall down and throwing his sword at him. Favaro somehow escapes the attack and then gets ready to fight, even though the enemy is much stronger than him. He tells Amira to stay back, but she simply jumps towards the goat demon, transforms into her demon form, and quickly slashes him. She gives him a good beating and then throws him towards his sword stuck in the ground. The demon is split in two, and Favaro is covered with its goo. He now realizes that the last night was not a dream and Amira is really a strong demon he should be wary of. Later, he goes to Bax to deliver his bounty, while Amira stares at the talking duck, remarking that it is delicious. They get out of the carriage after getting their reward and then buy some new clothes for Amira. They go for dinner after that, and Amira licks her fingers clean because she has never eaten such delicious things before. She is also curious about booze and gets drunk after just one sip. They dance after that, and Amira has the time of her life, moving her body to the music. After that, she runs to a nearby pond and jumps in to feel the cool water against her skin and to stare at the stars in the sky. Favaro thinks that this is his chance to kill her and break his curse, but he cannot bring himself to attack her because his bracelet is not glowing to indicate any danger. Amira almost notices him, so he covers it up by saying that they should introduce themselves. He goes first, and then Amira tells him her name and reveals that she must go to Helheim to find her mother. She gets sad as she recalls her mother, who is just a blurred face in her memories. She only has the pendant that serves as her connection to her mother, and she wants to go to Helheim and find her there. Favaro is thinking about this confusing story when suddenly Kaiser creeps up behind him. Favaro is startled and drops his sword, and then Kaiser accuses him of being a demon and swears to kill him. He's about to attack, but then Amira comes in between to stop him. Kaiser is smitten by her beauty, and he freezes, giving Favaro the chance to deal a powerful kick to his face that knocks him down. Favaro runs away with Amira after that, and Kaiser is left marveling at her beauty. The next day, as Favaro is looking at fruits in the market, the royal knights pass by. Their captain asks if anyone has seen a demon with one wing disguised as a human female who has stolen the god key. Favaro seizes this chance and snitches on Amira in exchange for some cash. Meanwhile, Amira was waiting for him by herself, getting sad as she thought about her mother. The knights find her and chase after her, so she transforms into her demon form. The knights surround her and use a special formation to tie her down, while the vice captain moves in to deliver the finishing blow. Favaro watches this from a distance as he approaches his course. He thinks that once the knights kill the demon girl, he will get rid of the tale for good. He doesn't care that she trusted him or wanted to meet her mother. He just gets on his course, but the horse is bonded with Amira, so he runs in her direction. The knights are still putting pressure on Amira using their holy magic, but it doesn't have any effect on her at all. Just then, Favaro comes there, led by his horse, who kicks the knights away and drops Favaro on the ground. His smoke bombs fall out of his pocket and provide cover, and he finds Amira in front of him. Well, there is no other option for Favaro but to run away with her, but as they are trying to cross a bridge, they find that the knights have surrounded them on both sides. The vice captain tells Favaro that he will be punished for double-crossing them, but he just pulls out his crossbow and takes Amira hostage. He tells her that they will escape by falling into the river below, and she agrees. The knight captain notices Amira's pendant, and he tells his men not to shoot her because they need her alive. Favaro shoots the ropes of the bridge one by one, and then Amira stomps on the loose bridge, and they fall straight into the river. The captain watches them fall and then draws out a pendant similar to Amira's from his armor. As a result of this escape, a bounty is placed on Favaro's head and on Amira's head too. Kaiser receives the bounties and swears to arrest Favaro and rescue Amira. Meanwhile, Favaro and Amira have finally reached a point from where they can see their next stop, the foggy city of Nebel. Amira wants to hurry to Helheim, but Favaro wants to take a break and then catch a bounty to restock their supplies. However, she doesn't give him much time to rest and keeps pulling him along. Favaro climbs up a steep cliff to get some precious herbs when suddenly a giant serpent monster attacks him. He swings around the cliff and shoots the serpent with his crossbow, blinding it and making it fall to the ground. Favaro comes to the ground safely after that and starts kicking the defeated monster, while Amira asks him if the grass he just collected is tasty. He tells her that it is a medicinal herb that is needed to complete their next mission. At night, he tries preparing medicine from the herb, but he suddenly realizes that Amira has wings, so she should have flown up to get the medicinal herb. She tells him that it is not possible. She unfurls her lone wing and tells him that she lost another one in an incident. Favaro asks her the details, and Amira tells him that some time ago she infiltrated the Palace of Angels to find the God Key on her master's order. She found the God Key and took it within her body, but that alarmed the guardians of the palace and they surrounded her. They attacked her from all sides, and Amira took one hit that sent her crashing to the floor. That was when she came face to face with the strongest warrior among the angels. Amira survived her somehow but lost one of her wings in that battle. Favaro is intrigued by her story and thinks about the thing called God Key that even the knights were talking about. Favaro asks her where the key is now, and Amira tells him that it is inside her. He tries taking a peek using that excuse and earns a slap. Amira tells him that she absorbed the soul of the God Key, and thus she herself is the key now. On the other hand, Kaiser chases after Favaro and reaches a forest covered in dense mist. He is almost delirious as he spots Favaro in front of him and rushes to attack. However, he sets foot on some loose ground and goes rolling down. He loses consciousness after hitting his head on the ground, but luckily, someone finds him and drags him to the foggy city of Nebel. Later, Kaiser wakes up and mistakes a stuffed doll for Favaro. The girl named Rita, who saved him earlier, tells him to keep resting because his arm is broken. Soon, her parents come to the room, and Rita's dad tells Kaiser that he is the healer who treated his injury. They invite him for dinner and ask him for a favor. They tell Kaiser that some monsters are attacking their fields and taking away children from the village. They begin crying, saying that Rita is the only child left in the village now. Kaiser swears to slay the monsters to repay their help, but Rita is a nasty little brat, and she runs away saying that the food is filled with maggots. Kaiser goes after her to talk things out and learns that the girl is not happy with her family. Kaiser starts talking about his family to make her relate to him. He tells her that he was born into a family of knights and had to undergo harsh training from an early age. Kaiser used to hate his father and tried his best to be a rebel. Then one day, his father got the duty of guarding a tribute to the king, but bandits ambushed them and stole the tribute. As a result of this failure, Kaiser's dad was hung till death, and they were stripped of their noble rank and cast out. His mother soon committed suicide too, and that was when he learned that he should have cherished his family more. Kaiser tells Rita not to be like him, but she gives one glance to her parents before kicking his injured arm. She tells him that his story was too boring, and she wants a refund for the time he wasted. The next morning, Kaiser and the town people get ready to face the monsters that attack them. The monster speaks Kaiser's name, but that only enrages him more. He attacks the monster, who skillfully dodges all his attacks and then throws some smoke bombs at him. The monster appears behind Kaiser and puts medicine in his mouth, which brings him back to the senses he lost because of the fog. It turns out that the monster he was fighting was Favaro. He asks him to thank him later for treating him to some homemade anti-illusion potion. Kaiser asks what is happening, and Favaro tells him to look around. Kaiser does as he is told and finds that the people of the town are rotting corpses filled with maggots, and the town itself is nothing more than rubble. There is only one living person in the town, which is Rita, and she is the one behind everything. Kaiser is horrified and disgusted as everything becomes clear to him, and he vomits out the mud and maggot soup that he ate yesterday while he was under her spell. Favaro then takes out a wanted poster for Rita, the necromancer, and declares that he will capture her bounty. Rita begins chanting a spell to make the zombies aggressive, and Favaro gives a portion of his hanky dipped in the anti-illusion potion to Kaiser. He and Amira take down the zombies one by one, while Kaiser realizes that his arm was not even broken. He is furious that Rita tricked him, and in his rage he begins mowing down the zombies. He spots Rita's zombie parents and tries attacking them too, but Rita steps up to stop him because they were once her real parents. Kaiser hesitates, but then suddenly the zombie mom bites Rita, and her dad is about to follow. The girl is frozen with fear, and Kaiser quickly deals with her zombie parents. She tosses the book to another side, and Favaro quickly shoots it. The book burns in a bright purple flame and takes the shape of a demon that was Favaro's real target. He captures it and then tells Kaiser that the town was attacked by demons 200 years ago, and it has been ruined ever since then. Rita was the only survivor, and she used the weird book to bring the villagers to life and has been keeping it for the past 200 years. Favaro tells Kaiser to abandon the girl because she has been bitten by a zombie, so she will soon become one. Kaiser can only cry as Rita turns into a zombie and attacks him, but he fails to finish her. It turns out that it was a good thing as Rita becomes a high-level zombie necromancer and starts following Kaiser on his journey. On the other hand, Favaro delivers the collectible card to Bak, who gives him his reward and then shows him some new bounty posters. Favaro is taken back to see a bounty on him and Amira and tears up the posters, but Bak has more. He just laughs and then asks Favaro if he's going to Helheim because he can tell him the way if he brings back some booze from there. The next day, Favaro and Amira reach a port town, where she keeps getting sidetracked by the various fish in the stalls. More than that, she is angry because Favaro didn't tell her anything about sailing over the sea to reach Helheim. Favaro himself learned that only yesterday, thanks to Bak, and he tells Amira that he just remembered a shorter way that involved riding a ship. He asked around to see if anyone knows which boat will take them to Helheim, but no one seems to know anything. Amira was already suspicious of Favaro, but now her doubts are growing. Luckily, as she is busy staring at some delicious raw seafood, Favaro meets with a very shady, hunched old man who tells him that he can take them to Helheim. Favaro is relieved to hear this and takes his offer, not realizing that his bracelet is glowing red to indicate danger. He happily marches to the ship the shriveled man leads them to and finds that the ship is so tattered and worn down that one big wave will be shattered into 1,000 pieces. Favaro is not certain that this boat can lead them anywhere, and then the tiny dude points him to talk to the captain. The captain turns around and begins staring at Favaro, who does the same. After a few seconds, they recognize each other and happily rush ahead to greet each other. That greeting involves a bit of punching and kicking because they seem to have some history between them. After getting each other, they get on the boat and start sailing. The captain, Ammon, remarks that it has been 3 years since they last met and asks Favaro what he is doing now. He is not pleased to see that he has become a bounty hunter and asks why he is not following in his dad's footsteps and becoming a bandit leader. Favaro recalls his dad, who was the Robin Hood of their world, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. Despite that, he doesn't want to become an honorable thief like him because he prefers to do his business by himself. Ammon asks him what the deal is with the girl, and Favaro says that it's a long story. On the other hand, Kaiser and Rita have reached the port town too, searching for Favaro. She asks him why he hates Favaro so much, and he's about to reveal their history when suddenly, a shriveled man comes there and asks him if he is searching for someone. He makes Kaiser board a boat that is following the same route as Favaro. Rita asks him to tell her what he couldn't say earlier, and he tells her that he and Favaro used to be childhood friends actually. Favaro told him that he was a carpenter's son, and Kaiser trusted him. He told him about his dad occasionally, but Favaro used that information against him. He turned out to be the son of the bandit who ambushed his dad's convoy that led to his execution. That is why Kaiser hates Favaro for ruining his life. Just then, some pirates surround them, and they tell Kaiser to hand over all the valuables he has and jump into the sea. He realizes that the tiny dude tricked him, but the pirates are no match for his skilled swordsmanship. He takes all of them down easily, but then the pirate leader takes Rita hostage and makes Kaiser drop his sword. However, he is in for a rude awakening as Rita suddenly bites his arm. Meanwhile, Favaro has been sleeping and once again dreams about the destroyed city and the giant dragon Bahamut. He wakes up in a cold sweat and finds some flying fish traveling next to their ship and Amira playing with them. Favaro then draws a poor sketch of Bahamut on the floor and asks Amira if she recognizes it, but she doesn't. He's getting frustrated when Ammon calls him for a drink and snacks. On hearing about snacks, Amira is the first one to run to his cabin. She eats meat while Favaro and Ammon talk about the past and the last mission they did with Favaro's dad. They stole the king's tribute, but later found out that it contained a powerful gemstone that summoned a demon. The demon killed everyone in the gang and Amon was able to survive thanks to Favaro's dad. Later, Amira asks Favaro what a father is and he tells her that it is the husband of one's mother. Amira says that she doesn't know she has a father, but Favaro assures her that everyone has a dad even though some leave to get milk. Suddenly, the ship rattles and a giant crab monster emerges out of the sea and strikes the ship, tearing off a big chunk. Favaro tries attacking the crab monster, but his attacks are useless. The monster is about to strike him too, but then Amira turns into her demon form, saves him, and quickly beats off the monster. She even takes out some crab brains while she is doing that, but it isn't as tasty as she was hoping it to be. Ammon and other crew members see all this and they ask Favaro what is going on. He tries to say that it is not what they think, but they have already seen his tail. He tries to clarify things, but Ammon says that he is surprised to find that he is a demon too. Suddenly, a rope comes down and ties Favaro up before hoisting him up. Just then, some fishman soldiers come there and point their weapons at Amira. Ammon finally reveals that he is also a demon, and he tricked Favaro on purpose because of the bounty on his head. He tells Favaro that he was the one who planned the heist on the king's tribute and summoned the demon from the gem, and in exchange he got turned into a demon himself. Favaro was furious at learning that Ammon betrayed his father, but he just laughs. Amira tells Favaro to run away, and he drops some smoke bombs to distract everyone. However, they are not yet aware of a ship heading towards them, carrying Kaiser and Rita. Rita has turned all the people in the boat into zombies, and she is commanding them with her staff. She picks up speed and crashes their ship into the one where Favaro and Amira are escaping from Ammon. Kaiser enters the ship and starts looking for Favaro, while Ammon tells him that he will be the one to capture his bounty. He commands his fishman soldiers to attack Kaiser, but then the zombies launch a sneak attack on them from behind. It is total chaos down there, and Favaro and Amira can only watch it from the tightrope. Ammon also follows them, and Favaro steps ahead to face him. They clash swords, and then Ammon suddenly pulls out a magic cannon hidden in his hand. Favaro somehow dodges its first attack and then hangs upside down on the rope. Ammon is about to finish him off, but then Favaro shoots the steering wheel of the ship, making it spin out of control to tilt the ship. Ammon falls off the rope, and the giant crab monster emerges from the sea to catch him and then swallows him whole. Soon, Kaiser climbs up to him and draws out his sword to deal with Favaro, but then suddenly, a giant thunderbolt almost hits the ship. A giant tentacle descends from the clouds, surrounds the ship, and then shoots a thunderbolt that hits Amira and Kaiser. Favaro can only watch in horror as the giant tentacle grabs them and carries them high above the clouds. They are taken into a castle on top of a giant demonic beast's head, and 3 demons watch over them. Their goal was only Amira, and Kaiser is an extra. However, the leader of those demons decides to have some fun with him. Favaro keeps gawking at the sky, so Rita comes there and kicks him, telling him to get to work. Rita tells him that the monster they saw just now was the flying castle of the fallen angel Azazel. Favaro tells her that they should run away from the fallen angel as quickly as possible, but she plans to follow him and rescue Kaiser. Favaro tries complaining, so she hits him with the Ball Buster 3000. Ultimately, he agrees to help her, and they lower a boat to chase Azazel and his flying castle. Favaro munches on some fruits, saying that Amira is a demon who casts a curse on him, while Kaiser is hell-bent on killing him, so he won't really mind them dying. However, Rita just keeps silently staring at him, no matter what he says. Soon they reach the port town, where they find Bak and his talking duck, and they take them hostage. They demand that Bak hand over his carriage to them, but he refuses, telling them that they should not underestimate a god. He tells them that they must pay a price if they want to be escorted by him. He looks at Favaro, asking if he can do that, and Favaro decides to stab his bounty hunter bracelet to show his determination. That freaks out Bak because he was not hoping for him to do anything, so he lets Favaro ride on his flying carriage. Inside the carriage, Bak tells Favaro and Rita about Azazel, who is the right-hand man of the leader of fallen angels, Lucifer. He is certain that Azazel is heading to Cocytus, the capital of demons. Bak drops them in a mystical place called the Valley of the Sword, which is abundant with floating islands and wyverns. The valley must be crossed to reach Cocytus, and Bak leaves everything else to them. Favaro is carrying Rita in a backpack, and he shoots out a harpoon to climb on the giant flying castle while cursing Amira for leading him into this situation. Inside the floating castle, the fallen angel Azazel is watching Amira being tortured by his giant furry demon underling. Furry is whipping her and asking who ordered her to steal the god key, but Amira doesn't answer. Kaiser keeps yelling at him to stop, but no one listens to him. Amira finally loses consciousness because of the torture, and Kaiser tells them that they will never find out anything from Amira because she is just an innocent girl being tricked by a demon called Favaro. Everyone starts laughing at him for this, and Azazel decides to tell him the truth about Amira. Kaiser can't believe that she is a demon who stole the god key from the Palace of Gods, and Azazel tells him that since she couldn't have done it by herself, they just want to know who is behind her. Kaiser once again says that it can be no one else but Favaro who tricked her. Everyone laughs at him again because they have never heard the name before, but Kaiser starts telling them that Favaro used to be his friend, but he betrayed him and led to the death of his father. He talks about how his family fell from grace because of him, and Azazel recognizes the name. He knows about Kaiser's dad and Favaro's dad too, and the current situation suddenly turns very amusing for him. He leaves telling Kaiser that he will never amount to anything, just like his dad. Meanwhile, Favaro and Rita have entered the castle, and they are fighting skeleton soldiers while trying to find their friends. Azazel sees this all through his magic, and he finds them amusing. He decides to make things even more interesting by dragging Kaiser out of his cage and giving him the chance to avenge his father by killing Favaro. Favaro is sucked into a trap and separated from Rita. He is thrown into the very room where Amira was being tortured. As soon as he sees her, he tries to save her, but then Kaiser falls from the weird duct overhead too, screaming Favaro's name. He starts attacking him, and Favaro tells him that they can resume their fight after they rescue Amira and get out of this place. However, Kaiser doesn't pay any attention to his words and keeps attacking him. He disarms Favaro, who picks up a new weapon from the room, but Kaiser still has the upper hand on him. He uses his special technique to spin him in the air and throw him on the ground, blaming him for all the misfortunes of his life with tears flowing down his eyes. He's about to finish Favaro when a flying fist hits his face and knocks him away. Rita had just found them, and she shot her hand out to stop them from fighting. Kaiser asks her why she is here, and she tells him that they are here to rescue him and Amira. Azazel watches everything, and despite his dog-girl subordinate advising him to kill all the unnecessary pests now, he keeps on waiting. His demonic beast opens the gates to Cocytus and starts entering, but then suddenly, a floating rock with many magic inscriptions shatters and the gate vanishes, cutting the demonic beast's head along with it. The castle shakes and everyone is curious about what just happened. Azazel's butler comes to tell him that the royal knights have attacked them. The Saint Jean is leading the charge, along with the knight captain who failed to capture Favaro. The captain is certain that Amira is being held inside the flying castle, and trusting his words, Jean gives the command to attack it. Hundreds of catapults fire shots that are enchanted with fire magic, and they hit the demonic beast at once. Next, the archers fire their arrows through the enchantment circles, but this time the demonic beast counters their attacks using its lighting power. The knights then send their dragon riders to infiltrate the flying castle and arrest Amira. Inside the castle, Favaro and friends have finally managed to free Amira from the torture wheel, but as the castle begins rattling, the giant furry comes to get Amira on Azazel's order. He is shocked to find that she is not on the torture wheel, unaware that Rita is hiding her behind a pillar. Favaro looks at the situation and finds a few gears and chains that he can use to win the battle. He asks Kaiser to help him just this time, promising to settle their feud to his heart's content when they are safe. He agrees to help him save Amira, and they hit the furry with giant gear and then activate a mechanism that will take them outside. Favaro shoots the furry's eye while hanging on the lift, and then a giant gear falls on top of him, crushing him for good. However, once they come outside, they find that the flying castle is under attack, and they can't get away too easily. Just then, Azazel also comes there to take Amira. As Favaro sees him, he recognizes that he is the same demon who killed his dad. He doesn't even have time to react as Azazel sends everyone away and approaches Amira. However, just as he is about to touch her, her powers activate and a blue fireball sends him flying. The blue flame takes the form of a guardian, and as Azazel falls down, he realizes who exactly was supporting Amira, and then he teleports to safety. On the floating castle, a dead wyvern falls behind Favaro and his crew. The attack of the royal knights intensifies, with even Jean joining the battle using her god-granted divine powers. However, Favaro and his friends safely escape on the dead wyvern that Rita turned into a zombie. The problem is that Amira was poisoned by Azazel, and she is delirious right now. She remembers her master telling her to fulfill her destiny, and then she will get to see her mother in Helheim. Amira keeps murmuring and asking Favaro to take her to Helheim, but it is not going to be easy as the royal knights have already surrounded them. They are captured and put in a wagon without their weapons, where Kaiser asks Favaro where his bracelet went. He tries to feign surprise, but Rita reveals that he destroyed it to save Amira and Kaiser. Favaro doesn't like her revealing his secrets, so he gives her a forehead flick, and she asks Kaiser to kill him and avenge his father right now. With that, Rita begins to ask why Amira wants to go to Helheim, which is covered in ice and inhabitable. Favaro replies that apparently Amira's mom is there. Soon, they reach the royal capital, where Saint Jean presents the prisoners she captured before the king. Two knights drag Amira along and throw her to the ground. The king remarks that she doesn't look like a demon, and even the bounty hunter gemstones don't react to her at all. Just then, three powerful angels descend from the sky and reveal that Amira has the power to freely transform into an angel and a demon at will, which is why she was able to steal the god key. The leader of the angels uses her powers to shroud Amira in black flames, and she screams as she is forcefully turned into a demon. The fire dies out soon, and Amira returns to normal before collapsing again. The angels say that since she is a demon, they cannot take her to heaven to safeguard the god key. That is why they leave the task of guarding her safely to the king. He gladly accepts that task, and then asks what he should do about the other three. He thinks that they should just be executed, but then the leader of the angels tells him not to kill them. She asks the king to keep them under his protection too, and Favaro is beyond delighted. The leader of the angels shows everyone the vision of Bahamut's seal weakening because the key has been moved from its place. Right now, thousands of angels are trying their best to put a barrier around Bahamut to ensure that the key can't reach him. The leader of the angels says that the seal is weakening, but Bahamut won't be freed at all until the two keys are put together. That is why she doesn't want Amira's friends to die, because their deaths may cause her to behave unpredictably and put the whole world in danger. With that, the angels take their leave, and the king immediately orders Favaro and others to be freed from their shackles. He promises them freedom as long as they remain in this city, and Favaro immediately rushes to shake hands with him and thank him. The knights catch him and give him a good thrashing for that, but the king just laughs. Later, two servants are trying to put Amira in her room, but she is struggling because she wants to go to Helheim. Favaro tells her that she is not in the condition to travel right now, and she yells at him that he promised to take her there. Favaro pulls down his pants and shows his tail, saying that he only promised that because she put this curse on him. Everyone is shocked to see this, but Rita can tell that despite the tail, Favaro is just a normal human. Favaro then tells Amira that he is not going to Helheim anymore, and she is free to go there alone, but not before she removes this cursed tail from him. Amira slaps him immediately and then begins crying before heading into her room. The vice captain puts a seal on the door and tells Favaro and others that they will look after Amira till she is recovered, and they can use the room next door. Suddenly, warning bells start ringing, and the vice captain says that it means they are under attack by demons. 3 rip-offs of the Colossal Titan march towards the city, and the knights deploy equally huge golems blessed with divine power to face them. The golems just hold the giant demons at bay, and then Genie steps forward and uses her God-given power to send a blast of divine energy that separates into several beams that destroy all the demons in a flash. Favaro watches it all from a distance, and he is impressed by the saint's power. Later that night, a great party is thrown to celebrate the recent successes of the knights, and Favaro drinks and flirts with beautiful women. Kaiser and Rita are also busy eating in a corner, and she asks him if he is content with staying like this, or if he will ever try to get revenge on Favaro. He ignores her and keeps eating, so she decides to go back to her room. On the other hand, Amira is crying while thinking about her mom when suddenly, the door to her room opens and a hooded man enters. He pities her for being hurt physically and mentally and offers to tell her the true reason she was born into this world. He walks away with that, and Amira curiously follows him. Rita also returns to the room at the same time, and she sees Amira's door open and the guards lying unconscious. Meanwhile, Favaro has drunk too much, so he comes to the castle wall to relax in peace, and soon Kaiser comes there. He finds Favaro unconscious and hesitates as he tries to harm him, but Favaro is actually awake and tells him to attack. Kaiser says that he doesn't know if it is the right thing to do as he reveals the knife he stole from the party and then asks Favaro why he rescued him. Favaro gets up and says just because, as he reveals that he also stole a fork from the party for self-defense. The two men have a go at each other in good faith, but then Rita's hand comes flying towards them and knocks them down with 1 slap each. She tells them that there is no time to be playing around because Amira is missing from her room. Amira is following the mysterious man through a torchlit corridor, and they come to a large room, where he reveals that he has the same necklace as hers. Their necklaces start glowing because of synergy, and Amira wonders who he is. The man tells her that her mother asked him to keep this necklace, and Amira realizes that he must be her dad. The man removes his hood to reveal that he is the knight captain, but he vanishes in an instant as Amira turns her eyes away from him. On the other hand, her friends are searching for her, and Favaro comes to a room with a giant floating statue of the dragon he sees in his dreams. Just then, Jean finds him and he tries running away from there, saying that he was just on a walk. However, she asks him if he is curious about Bahamut, and he suddenly stops. Jean tells him about the great evil dragon, who is stronger than gods and demons alike. She tells him the story of how Bahamut almost ended all life on Earth in the past, but then gods, demons, and humans came together to face him. In the end, Zeus turned himself into the god key and Satan into the demon key to seal Bahamut, and that is what is represented in this statue. She then points to the statue of a human knight on top of Bahamut. She claims that according to prophecy, when Bahamut reawakens, a holy knight will appear and bring peace to the land. Jean says that the people of this country believe that she is the holy knight, and she too hopes that she is the one who gets to fulfill this great duty. Favaro just replies that it seems to have nothing to concern him because all he wants is women, booze, and freedom. He says that he is just a bounty hunter who doesn't have anything to do with dragons or holy knights, but Jean reveals that she was also a common farm girl once. She received the grace of the gods and became aware of her grand mission. She tells Favaro that destiny must have some great plans for him too, for bringing him close to Amira. Not much later, the bells to signify a demon attack ring, and everyone is spurred to action. In the sky, a horde of flying demons arrives, led by Azazel and his furry subordinate. On the ground, there are more demons, including the giant ones from earlier. The defense forces of the city immediately get into action. The archers and catapults take their positions, and the magicians chant their spells. The golems are deployed, the dragon riders take off too, and Jean leads the cavalry. Favaro can just watch the scale of the preparation when suddenly, Amira jumps next to him. She has completely forgotten about their bitter fight earlier in the day and excitedly tells him that she met her dad. Favaro is taken aback by learning that her dad is right here. But then Amira's stomach starts growling, so she ignores his questions and runs away to find some food. Favaro follows her and finds that she is eating anything she can find in the kitchen. Just then, Kaiser and Rita also arrive there, and Favaro tells them everything Amira told him. Outside, the fight between the knights and demons starts. The catapults and magicians launch their combo attacks and deal area damage to reduce the number of demons on the ground. The golems also try to contribute, but the giant demons overpower them. One demon fires a powerful beam at the castle wall, breaching it and allowing his companions to fly above it without any difficulty. Skeleton knights and some other demons are airdropped from the sky, and the knights face them bravely. In the sky, the dragon riders are face to face with flying monsters, and the archers launch their burning arrows at them. Azazel flies high above and sees them as mere pests, so he sends snakes made by his dark powers towards the dragon knights and pierces them. Just then, Jean enters the battle, and she fires her signature splitting attack that takes down a large number of flying monsters at once. Azazel realizes that she is the only one dangerous here, so he sends his furry assistant to deal with her personally. The furry jumps down and lands on the castle wall with a thundering hurricane that is strong enough to blow away even the golems. This gives Azazel enough freedom to walk into the castle and massacre any knights who stand in the way. Meanwhile, Favaro and Kaiser are trying to pull Amira away from the dining table, but she is drunk and insists that she wants to eat more. They finally manage to pull her away from the table, and she falls asleep as soon as she hits the ground. Rita then mentions that the current demon raid seems to be because of her, and Favaro thinks that they should move her to a safe place. However, Azazel is already there, and he tells them that they are too late. Everyone is frozen in terror, and Favaro recalls the moment Azazel killed his dad. The fallen angel tells them to leave peacefully and let him take Amira, but Kaiser steps up and pledges to protect her. Azazel mocks him for trying to be a knight and says that he is as worthless as his father. Kaiser asks him how he knows about his father, and Azazel appears right behind him as an illusion to tell him that he was the one responsible for his death. He says that the magic stones he was carrying were his in the first place, and he made it all happen just for fun. He transforms into Kaiser's dad, saying that the way in which he died was quite amusing. Kaiser is frozen stiff, but Favaro throws a cup at the illusion and breaks it. He then calls Azazel a small fry and declares that the one who killed Kaiser's dad was him. He tells Kaiser to do him a favor and take Amira out of here and escort her to Helheim. He decides to face Azazel on his own with just a frying pan. Kaiser tries to stop him, but Rita tells him that they need to agree to his plan. Azazel simply knocks down Favaro with some magic snakes and then sends his skeleton soldiers after Amira. Outside, the city has been ravaged because of the demon attack, and the furry demon has defeated Jean. He decides to finish her with a powerful thunder tornado, sends her flying, and makes her drop her holy spear too. The furry laughs, saying that he won, but then suddenly, Jean starts running towards him on magic footholds created by the magicians. She jumps towards him and summons her holy spear, which rushes towards her with great speed. The furry doesn't even have time to process all this as Jean stabs him, and the divine energy of her spear begins vaporizing him. However, he has the last laugh as he tells her that he was just a distraction, and the key girl must have already been taken away. He vanishes with that, and Jean falls, but luckily the captain of the Dragon Riders saves her. On the other hand, Azazel is toying with Favaro, who can only defend himself somehow without his weapons. Azazel has had enough fun with him, so he decides to finish him, but then suddenly someone throws a smoke bomb in the room. It turns out to be Kaiser, who has come here to save Favaro and even brought some real weapons he found with the dead knights. Favaro asks him about Amira, and he answers that Rita is taking her to safety by using the dead knights as her puppets. Azazel just laughs at Kaiser's attempt to save Favaro. He recalls that he killed both their dads and says that now he gets the chance to kill the sons too. He tells them to try and get revenge for their fathers, but Favaro clearly tells him that he is not going to do that. He tells Azazel that he doesn't live in the past and that his dad's death has nothing to do with him. Favaro calls him just a foul demon, and that pisses off Azazel. Kaiser attacks him first, but he can't get past his defense of the magic snakes. Favaro throws a sack of flour at the demon next and creates a smokescreen by splitting it open. However, Azazel can spot Kaiser by the red glow of his bracelet, and he hits him away. He then moves behind Favaro to attack him and almost delivers the finishing blow, but Favaro stops it with his tail. Azazel is taken aback, giving Favaro the chance to push him back, but that is just a decoy, and Kaiser uses it to attack the demon from behind. Azazel doesn't have time to react to him as Favaro grabs his neck with his tail and Kaiser stabs his heart. Azazel falls on the table, bleeding profusely, but he cannot be killed by human weapons. He causes an explosion to throw both of them out, and then descends to finish them. Favaro wonders how they can survive now, but Kaiser sees a golden gleam reflecting in his sword. He realizes that Jean is preparing to attack, and he decides to buy her time by charging towards Azazel. He dodges his snakes and reaches close, but Azazel easily flings him away. As Kaiser falls, a golden light appears behind him, and the very next moment, Azazel is hit by Jean's ultimate attack. He screams in pain and then vanishes, marking the defeat of the demon forces. The humans cheer on their hero, and the remaining demons flee away. Jean gets all the credit for the victory, but she is interested in the two bounty hunters as well now. Meanwhile, Favaro somehow saved Kaiser from falling down by hanging upside down using his tail, and he just smiles as he thanks him. On the other hand, Amira suddenly wakes up to the voice of her father, the Knight Captain, and by the time Rita comes to see her, she has disappeared. Amira has reached the room with Bahamut's statue following her dad, and as she sees it, the key within her resonates with it. She sees glimpses of the destruction caused by Bahamut and how the gods and demons managed to seal him down. Then she sees a vision in which Bahamut has been freed and has already destroyed the world. She sees the key inside her, resonating with Bahamut and connecting with it, and starts screaming in pain. Her friends hear her scream and find her unconscious. They bring her to her room, and when she awakens, she tells them about the vision she saw. She saw that she was dormant in a cocoon for a long time, and then her master called her out into the world. He gave her the pendant she has and told her to do her duty, and her wish would come true in the land of Helheim. Now Amira wants to see her dad to learn more about herself, but Favaro stops her, saying that taking rash actions like this won't get her anywhere. Just then, the vice captain comes there and tells Favaro that the king has summoned him and his friends. They go to the courtyard where thousands of knights are assembled and wonder what is going on this time. Amira spots the knight captain, and she immediately tries to get close to him, saying that he is her dad. Favaro stops her, expressing his confusion about the situation. Because the captain is Amira's dad, he must be a demon. Kaiser, however, claims that the captain is not a demon because they met earlier too, and he seemed like a kind and honorable knight. Just then, the king comes forward to greet Favaro and Kaiser and rewards them with knighthood for their recent heroic actions on Jean's recommendation. Favaro feels that it is a hassle, but Kaiser gladly accepts the reward, so he has no choice but to do the same. They are knighted by the king and their weapons are returned to them. Kaiser is moved to tears because he finally fulfilled his pledge to restore his family's honor. Just then, the leader of angels descends from heaven and praises the humans for defending the key girl well. She declares that the demons will not stop with this defeat, and they will keep targeting the god key, so they should be ready for war. The angel summons a divine sword and sends it forward. The king raises his hands to receive it, but the sword actually goes to Jean. The angel explains that this divine sword can even kill gods and asks Jean to use it carefully. As for the king, she only gives him her blessings and good wishes. This deeply hurts the king's ego, and he keeps on griping about it in his room at night, not noticing that someone mixed a magic drug in his drink. He pours himself a drink and complains to his mother's portrait that the gods are showing more attention to Jean than him. Suddenly, he hears the voice of his dead mother and turns around to see her behind him. The king is shell-shocked, and his mother warns him to be careful because Jean is after his life. He sees the vision of Jean attacking him, but his mother's ghost holds him and keeps him safe. She tells him that this scene will come true soon, and then Jean will kill him to become the ruler of this kingdom. The king is brainwashed by this and decides to clip Jean's wings soon, and the person who drugged him is satisfied with the results. On the other hand, Favaro approaches Amira, who has been sneaking around the palace because she wants to see her dad. He and Rita lecture her about being careless, but then Favaro decides to make her wish come true. He takes her to the knight's captain's residence, and Amira thanks him as she leaps up the building. Rita also climbs on the wall because she doesn't want to miss the drama, and Favaro follows. Inside, Amira enters the knight's office with her mind still full of hesitation, but the captain hugs her and says that he missed her. She accepts that he is her dad, and then he says that she has grown a lot in just 5 years. This bit of news forces Favaro to come out of hiding, and the knight captain Lava thanks him for bringing Amira safely here. With that, he begins telling Amira the story about her mother. He says that Amira was born of an angel and a demon, which is why she is both. Favaro is amazed to hear this amazing backstory, but Rita is more curious about Lava being the demon dad. Lava reveals that he is not Amira's dad, he is just an ordinary human. A few years ago, he was assigned the mission of guarding the newborn Amira and her mother, Nicole. Nicole was banished from heaven, but she was still happy to have Amira. One day, a powerful demon called Beelzebub attacked them and stole Amira, so Mikkel also left for the demon realm to retrieve her daughter. She left her pendant to Lava, who tried looking for her after that, but it was useless. However, when he saw Amira's pendant that day on the bridge, he was certain that she was Nicole's daughter. Things start to become clear as Rita guesses that the demons kidnapped Amira to fasten her growth, and that is the reason she is mentally still immature. Amira also says that they said that she could see her mother if she stole the key, but Lava believes that it is also a lie. He also doubts that Nicole is in Helheim after all, so he asks Amira for her pendant. He brings both the pendants close, and their synergy creates a holographic map of the world, pointing out Nicole's location. Lava says that this place is called Perdusia, the Valley of Demons, and inputs that location in a compass. He also tells Amira that her mother had a special power, which is why the demons were targeting her, and she might be able to take the key out of Amira without harming her. Amira is excited to go to her, and she promises to bring her mother back here. Favaro doesn't plan to accompany the girl any further, and he believes that even Kaiser won't bother with them anymore since he is back to being a knight. Suddenly, the warning bells ring as the demons attack from the sky again. While Rita helps the Dragon Knights repel the demons, Lava tells Amira to use the canals to get out of the city without being noticed. Favaro goes there to say goodbye and to ask her to remove his tail, but she just signals him to come with her on the boat. He reluctantly joins her because he wants that tail out of his life at all costs, and they speed out of the city. The war with demons wages outside, and Lava gathers the knights to tell them that Amira has escaped with Favaro. He sends everyone to find her, stating that securing her is the most important thing for them. He then orders Kaiser to lead his own squad and search for Amira. Kaiser says that he is still inexperienced enough to lead a squad, but that is not what Lava wants from him. He wants Kaiser to find Amira before anyone else, and to help her guide her to her destination. He even gives him the pendant and tells him to help her find her mother. Back in the palace, the Knight Vice Captain enters the king's chamber, and then suddenly, his armor falls apart, revealing that it was completely hollow, and his head rolls down. The king screams in terror at seeing such a gruesome death before his eyes, and Lava immediately comes to check up on the scene. He tells the king that all the guards on the way were also killed, and he wonders who could have done this. Suddenly, he notices strands of blonde hair on the vice captain's hand, and the king screams that it must be Jean who did this. He calls her a witch and declares that she is trying to kill him. Soon, Jean is arrested and brought before the king. She tries to prove her innocence, but the king doesn't listen to her. She asks to talk to the angel who has blessed her, but the king says that the angel won't come because she has already left to take care of matters with Bahamut. He judges Jean a witch and declares that she will be executed, much to her horror. In her tiny prison cell, Jean keeps praying to God, and then suddenly, the mastermind behind everything appears behind her. He tries to tempt her to the dark side, saying that the humans have betrayed her, and that even her dear angels won't come to save her. Jean refuses to pay any attention to his words, so the demon just leaves a vial of a mysterious potion behind. He tells her to drink it, and then she will know all the things that the gods have hidden from her. The execution of Jean is announced to the public, and they refuse to believe that she would try to harm the king. However, the king is delirious now, and he tells Lava to arrest and punish everyone who supports Jean. Meanwhile, Rita has seen and heard everything, so she begins investigating the matter. She reaches a secret lab deep inside the castle that has a lot of shady ingredients. There is also a magic circle drawn on the ground, and as she wonders what it is, the mastermind arrives there to confront her. He tells Rita that he cannot let her leave after she has seen his secret, but she uses her power to control all the ingredients in the room that were once dead animals and attacks the demon. He slashes them all, but that is enough time for Rita to escape. Meanwhile, Favaro and Amira are riding the small boat like an amusement park ride, and it sends them off several hundred feet high in the air above the river. Favaro panics, but then Amira holds his hand and unleashes her wing to keep him safe. However, she forgot that she couldn't fly with one wing, so both of them fell into the river. They enter a mystic forest after that, and Favaro gets creeped out at the slightest sound. While Amira is busy worrying if her mother will even recognize her, he tells her that she will recognize her with just one hug, and Amira is so happy to hear it that she immediately hugs Favaro. They keep walking ahead until Amira suddenly notices something, charges at Favaro, and kills an invisible enemy soldier who was trying to kill him. He is taken aback by all this, but Amira tells him that there are more enemies nearby. They show themselves, and then their leader comes out too. It turns out that it was the mercenary squad Kaiser was leading, and he orders Favaro to hand Amira to him. He attacks him without warning and shatters his sword. Favaro is on the defensive now, but then Kaiser tells him to just play along with him because he is here to help. Amira keeps taking down the soldiers one by one and then transforms into her devil form. She rescues Favaro, who is being attacked by the soldiers, and reaches behind Kaiser. Suddenly, the god key inside her starts to glow, and the next moment, she and her friends vanish from the forest in a flash of light. They seem to be in the same place but in a separate dimension, and the soldiers cannot see them and decide to retreat. Favaro and his friends find the forest oddly bright now, and they wonder what is happening. Suddenly, they notice a glowing fang embedded in a tree root and decide to take it out. Both Kaiser and Amira fail, while Favaro just lazes around. They tell him to try taking it out, and while he thinks that it will be impossible, the fang comes out without any difficulty. Amira and Kaiser get ready to fight, and Favaro asks them what he even did. However, they are pointing their weapons at something big and powerful rising behind him. The giant creature turns out to be a benevolent dragon, and he thanks the humans for taking out the fang that has been bothering him for the past 2,000 years. Favaro asks him who he is, and the dragon first tells them that the fang is just a tiny spike belonging to Bahamut. The dragon says that Bahamut has appeared on Earth several times, destroying the world over and over again. However, when he appeared 2,000 years ago, gods and demons managed to seal him with a miracle. During that, the spikes on his body flew out in different directions, and one of them entered this separate dimension and stabbed his leg. The benevolent dragon says that the seal on Bahamut is weakening, and he is on the verge of being revived because of Amira. He has been observing everything from his dimension and says that the gods and demons are already gathering their forces to prepare for the future. While the gods are planning to stop the demons from resurrecting Bahamut, the demons seem to be planning to accuse them of reviving Bahamut to justify an all-out war. Favaro believes that nothing is going to happen, but as the dragon tells him that destruction is the world's fate, he suddenly sees visions of his hellish dream again. Amira nervously asks the dragon if the entire world, including her mother, will die because of her, and he can only agree. However, he tells her that there is a way to prevent it. He tells her to stay in this separate dimension forever if they want to prevent Bahamut's awakening. But that means that Amira will never get to see her mother again, and she starts crying. Favaro is irritated by everything that is happening, so he steps up and tells the dragon to screw fate. He tells Amira that they won't stop here when they are so close to meeting her mother. He declares that if destruction is the only fate of the world, they will change it. He hits the ground with Bahamut's fang, and suddenly it cracks the separate dimension and creates a hole that leads to the real world. Favaro wasn't expecting that to really happen, so he is sweating, but Amira hugs him and thanks him. The dragon laughs at this and remarks that he is truly delighted and surprised by Favaro's attitude. He tells them to go on, wishes them all the best, and gives Bahamut's fang to Favaro as a gift. Amira and Kaiser leave first. The dragon stops Favaro for one last chat. He reveals that as long as Amira has the key, the miracle from 2,000 years ago cannot be repeated. Right now, Zeus and Satan are in the form of keys, and they can manifest their power only by using a human vessel. Since Amira doesn't have human blood, she cannot keep Bahamut sealed. On the contrary, if she comes near Bahamut, the key will permanently fuse with his body, and then there will be no way to stop it. That is why the dragon tells Favaro that the only way to save the world is to kill Amira. Later, they reach Perugia, the Valley of Demons. Amira is excited to meet her mother, but Favaro can only think about the dragon's words. On the other hand, Jean has been tied to the stake for execution. The people tell the king to reconsider, but he declares that Jean is not a saint, but an evil witch who is destroying the kingdom. Just then, Bak also arrives there, and he senses something fishy about the situation. The king declares Jean to be burned at stake, and the protesters begin pushing against the guards. The stake is set on fire, and the people break through the guards to save her. The king orders his soldiers to take down all the rebels, and the knights begin killing people, further enraging them. Jean can only cry and beg for this madness to be stopped. She has accepted her fate, but she doesn't want innocent people to be harmed. She cries to the gods for help. And then suddenly the flames surrounding her take the form of angels and tell her that gods don't care for humans at all. As the saint, it is her job to be sacrificed to the gods so that Zeus can reawaken again. That leaves Jean devastated, but then suddenly, the mastermind appears in front of her with the vial of medicine he previously offered her. He tells her to take it now that she knows the truth about gods. She opens her mouth and the medicine goes inside just as flames cover her. The king rejoices that Jean is dead, but then suddenly, blue flames erupt around her and she transforms into a demon. Everyone is terrified now, and then Jean simply calls forth the divine sword that the leader of the angels gave her. As soon as the sword is in her hand, it turns black and becomes a demonic sword. Jean stabs the ground with it, creating a flying golem, and escapes the capital for good, leaving the king and his ministers terrified. Bak just watches everything unfold when suddenly, Rita comes to him with an important matter. They ride in his carriage as Rita tells him about the mastermind and says that Jean did not become a demon by entering into contact with one, but by using medicine. She believes that it is some sort of spell, and she asks back if he knows anything about it. He tells her about a mysterious wanted figure who has such abilities. It is not known if he is a human or a demon, but everywhere he goes, he leaves a mountain of corpses behind. He is said to have the power to change his appearance, control other people, and turn into a demon as well. It's about to reveal that person's name when suddenly his carriage runs over someone. Bakht comes outside to see who it was, and to his surprise, it is the wounded Azazel. He takes him in, and soon Azazel opens his eyes to see Rita busy with her experiments. Bakht tells the fallen angel not to try anything funny, because he has been restrained by divine bandages, and if he tries to do anything, he will blow up. Rita tells Azazel that she has some questions for him regarding the mastermind who stole the key. On the other hand, Favaro and his group are walking into the Valley of Demons when suddenly, the ground begins shaking and splitting. Huge chunks of the ground start floating upwards, and then a flying fortress similar to that of Azazel makes its appearance. This time, it is being controlled by the mastermind, who declares that the demon key and the god key will be united soon and doomsday will begin. He removes his disguise, and Amira recognizes the person as Martinet, her master. Favaro begins realizing that Martinet is behind everything, but Amira just asks him why he is here. Martinet laughs, saying that this place is Helheim and he has been waiting for her here. Kaiser says that they were on their way to Perdusia, but as he takes out his compass, he finds that it has been corrupted. Amira is unable to understand anything, so Martinet decides to introduce her to his boss. Suddenly, pillars of blue flame rise from the ground, and from them comes Beelzebub, one of the most powerful demons. Martinet declares that since Satan is absent, now Beelzebub is going to rule the world. Suddenly, Favaro and Kaiser are trapped in a magic prison, and Beelzebub tells Amira that now is the time for her to fulfill her duty and lift Bahamut's seal. Amira refuses, saying that she will change her destiny and find her mom, who will remove the key from inside her. Martinet says that if she wants to meet her mother, he will make it easy for her. He snaps his fingers and a big crystal falls right in front of Amira, inside which her mother Nicole is trapped. The crystal cracks, Nicole is freed, and Amira can only stare dumbfounded at her. Martinet tells her to go ahead and see her mom, assuring her that she is the real one. Amira nervously approaches Nicole, calling out to her, but she doesn't respond. Instead, she starts screaming in pain as her body disintegrates into light and sets up a barrier around her. Amira wonders why this is happening, and Martinet tells her that her mother has always hated her the most. Amira says that it is a lie because she remembers that she cared for her, but then suddenly she realizes that her memories were fake all this time. The one who she remembered was not her mother but Beelzebub, who tortured Nicole in hell and separated Amira from her body forcefully. Amira is devastated as she learns this and falls to her knees. Martinet tells her that Beelzebub created her and he planted fake memories inside her head using the pendant. He creates more pendants with more fake memories and then snaps them all away from existence, and Amira loses all the fake memories of her mother. She begins crying and screaming, and Kaiser curses the demons, so Beelzebub just lights him on fire. Amira suddenly remembers that Favaro said that her mother would recognize her if she hugged her. She begins walking towards Nicole, who is trapped in a barrier, and Favaro yells at her to stop because it is obviously a trap. Beelzebub lights him up too, and Amira keeps walking towards her mother. She enters the barrier, and her clothes are ripped apart by the pressure. She walks towards the deranged Nicole and hugs her tightly, and then suddenly, she comes to her senses for a moment. She takes Amira's name, but the very next moment she begins disintegrating into golden light particles. As Nicole completely vanishes, Amira loses her mind, and that was what Beelzebub was waiting for. In her state of uncontrolled emotions, Amira releases the energy of the key, and the shards of the demon key are attracted towards her. The two parts of the key fuse and become complete, and then Beelzebub pierces Amira with his spear, turning her into a sphere, which is the key to unlocking Bahamut. Seeing that things have come to this, Favaro says that there is only one thing he can do now. He yells at the demons, asking them to let him join their side. Beelzebub finds him amusing, so he frees him from the prison, and Martinet approaches him with a medicine that will turn him into a demon. Favaro just smiles at him and then pulls out his crossbow, but Martinet instantly kicks him in the gut and disarms him. He claims that he knows about those cheap tactics and then strangles Favaro. He puts the medicine on his tongue and deep-throats Favaro, putting the medicine forcefully inside his body. Favaro burns up in the blue flame and begins turning into a demon. Kaiser can only watch everything in horror, and as Favaro turns back to face him, he clearly has the eyes of a demon. Martinet then gives the key to Beelzebub, who breaks Kaiser's prison and throws him over the edge. With that, Beelzebub and his flying castle head off to Abos, the Holy Land, where angels are trying their best to keep Bahamut sealed, because the completion of the key has weakened the seal even further. Meanwhile, Rita and others are also heading towards Abos after Azazel agreed to make a deal with them. He reveals that Beelzebub is the one who rules Helheim, and he was the one manipulating Amira to do his bidding. When he attacked Amira earlier, it was Beelzebub's power that repelled him, and he faced him later personally too. He was assisted by Margnet in that, and Back says that it is the name of the mysterious wanted person he was talking about earlier. Rita believes that Margnet is not necessarily a demon because she could see through his tricks. She prepares some medicines to fight against the demons and then tells Back they should hurry before Bahamut is freed. Meanwhile, in Abos, the power of Bahamut is slowly permeating through the Angels' barrier, but the Angels believe that if they can maintain the barrier, it can stop the key from coming into contact with Bahamut. Just then, the demonified Jean comes flying there and kills one of the four main Angels. Everyone is shocked to see this, especially the leader, and she realizes that Jean's soul has been corrupted by evil. She moves to attack another Angel after that, who tries attacking her and keeping her at bay, but the barrier distracts her and Genie is able to slash her. The second Chief Angel vanishes too, and then the barrier around Bahamut weakens greatly in an instant. It begins cracking all over, and a powerful shockwave is released that ravages the land. Huge chunks of ground begin flying upwards as an effect of Bahamut's massive power, and then Jean attacks the leader of the Angels, who is still trying her best to keep the barrier strong. On the other hand, Kaiser survives somehow by hanging on a rope. However, as the giant flying fortress moves ahead, he is blown away by the wind pressure. As he is sent flying, he notices Favaro standing on the top of the flying fortress and curses him, asking how he could stoop so low and become a demon. Favaro just stares at him as Kaiser is sent far off. Luckily, Back and his carriage arrive there just in time, and they manage to save Kaiser's life. Suddenly, the skies part with a golden light, and the leader of the Angels comes falling down with the dark Jean chasing them. Kaiser is shocked to see her like this, and Rita tells him that she was turned into a demon using sorcery. He realizes that it must have been the same way Favaro was turned, and then Jean suddenly shifts her attention to them. Bax gets on top of his carriage to deal with her personally, and he somehow repels all her attacks. He falls off the carriage and calls for his duck, who inflates like a balloon to provide a foothold for Bax to fight fairly against Jean. On the other hand, Azazel expresses his surprise that Kaiser is still alive. Kaiser is shocked to see him too, and Azazel tells him that although it is unfortunate, they are on the same side right now. He promises to deal with him later and then flies away. Rita is manning the carriage, and she tells Kaiser about the antidote she has created that can turn Favaro back into a human. Just then, the flying duck collides with the carriage and Kaiser falls yet again. He is caught in the roots of a tree on a flying rock, but luckily, the medicine is still safe. Just then, Azazel arrives there and declares that he will settle things with him first. He frees Kaiser from the roots and then flies away with him. Above them, Bax and Jean keep fighting, and seeing Jean's mouth wide open, Rita throws her arm containing the medicine at her. However, the stupid duck gets in her way again, and she loses the last pill of the antidote. Rita is disappointed because it was the last pill, but then suddenly, the leader of the Angels collides with Dark Jean and throws her off. Jean cuts her arm and stabs her, but the Angel grabs her tightly. She has picked up the antidote pill, and she feeds it to Jean through a kiss. She stops resisting as the antidote enters her body, and she begins turning into a human again. They both fall down, and Jean suddenly comes to her senses. She is devastated to see what she has done, but the Angel tells her that it is their punishment for treating humans as mere tools. Jean starts crying, and the Angel tells her that she has to keep living as the Holy Saint and guide the people to a new era. Her body begins disintegrating with that, and with her last words, she tells Jean that she will always be with her. With that matter resolved, Bax and others can finally focus on the situation in front of them. Beelzebub's flying castle has reached dangerously close to Bahamut, and Rita plans to crash their carriage directly into it. Beelzebub is about to attack the Angels who are keeping the barrier intact despite losing their leaders, when suddenly Azazel attacks him. Beelzebub calls him a fool for cooperating with humans and gods, and then begins his counterattack. They clash in the air while Kaiser sneaks behind Margnet. Margnet tries attacking him, but is countered by Rita and Back, who crash their carriages near him. Rita rushes towards the key, but then Favaro steps in front of her and kicks her away. He takes the key and jumps down. Bax tries to follow him, but Margnet stands in his way. He drinks a medicine to unleash his full power and engages Back in battle. Meanwhile, the flying castle is speedily approaching Bahamut, and Favaro watches over the key. Kaiser shoots a warning shot at him just as he arrives there to stop him. Favaro immediately starts attacking him, and seeing how serious he looks about killing him, Kaiser realizes that his friend has truly become a demon. He decides to put an end to his misery and shoots him in the chest point blank. Favaro falls down, but then suddenly, the key sphere activates and Amira emerges in her angel form out of it. Kaiser can only stare at her when suddenly Captain Lava approaches him. He claims that they followed Jean here to neutralize this flying fortress, and he tells him that he did a good job. He tells Kaiser to look ahead as the gods start descending from heaven themselves. Lava says that everything is fine now and they should quickly get away. Just then, Rita comes there flying on Back's magic horse and tells Kaiser to get away from Lava. There is no time for that as Bahamut's power explodes and throws Rita and the flying horse away. The barrier cast by thousands of angels is blown to bits too, and then a beam of light erupts from Bahamut's head. 4 strands of energy fly towards Amira and surround her in a sphere that takes her towards Bahamut. Kaiser is concerned about her, but then suddenly Lava pushes him off the edge and begins laughing like a maniac. Amira flies towards Bahamut, and both gods and demons can only watch it happen. As she finally reaches the evil dragon, she is fused into his body just after she takes Favero's name. Bahamut opens his eyes and roars out in rage as his seal starts breaking off. He starts glowing as all the rubble that has gathered on his body in the past 2 millennia crumbles and falls away, and he is finally reinstated to his full glory. Beelzebub laughs at the fact that his plan is finally successful. He tells the gods that they have lost their eternal war and tells the demons to accept him as their all-powerful king. Bahamut charges his first attack and Beelzebub laughs, urging it to annihilate the gods. However, Bahamut turns around and shoots his attack at Beelzebub, obliterating him in his flying castle. Bahamut begins attacking everyone indiscriminately, and Lava is amazed by his show of power. Rita has somehow saved Kaiser and he asks Lava why he is doing this. Rita reveals that he was the true mastermind behind everything. He manipulated humans, demons, and gods alike to revive Bahamut, and he tells Rita that she's a sharp girl. While the demons and gods struggle to keep themselves safe from Bahamut's onslaught, Kaiser attacks Lava out of frustration. He stabs his chest, but that doesn't faze him in the least. Instead, he slashes back at Kaiser before revealing that his true form is that of Martinet. He lifts Kaiser up and shows him the destruction that brought about Bahamut. Martinet says that he lives to see death and destruction, and that is why he revived Bahamut to see the most grand display of destruction ever. His body is also unstable now because he took too many crazy potions. Suddenly, the flying castle rattles, and taking this chance, Kaiser gets away from Martinet's grip and takes his sword with him. Martinet decides to let them play with their old friend, and he calls Favaro to help him fight. Both Kaiser and Rita are taken aback now, and Favaro takes out the sword he made with Bahamut's fang and attacks them. On the other hand, Bahamut is wreaking havoc, killing gods and demons with a single strike. He blows away the floating pieces of land in his rage, and Beelzebub, who is still somehow alive, wonders how he could fail. Amira was born using his magic, and he was sure that using her as the key, he could control Bahamut. He realizes that Martinet fooled him, but then suddenly, a sword pierces his brain from inside his mouth. Azazel was the one who finished him, but he wonders if that is of any use now. Bahamut continues to send nukes flying in all directions, causing great destruction all over the world. His attack sets the royal capital on fire, and the stupid king dies surrounded by the flames and smothered by his mother's portrait. Meanwhile, Favaro and Kaiser are clashing blades when suddenly Favaro whispers something to him. Kaiser immediately tells Rita to not interfere in their battle because he plans to finish Favaro alone. They keep fighting each other against the backdrop of the evil dragon's outrage. The giant flying castle gets hit by Bahamut's attack and collides into a floating island, throwing everything into chaos, but Favaro and Kaiser are still not deterred. They keep fighting and Kaiser manages to disarm Favaro. Martinet throws his sword at Favaro, who uses it to slice Kaiser's arm and carries it to Martinet as his tribute. The evil man is pleased with this, but then suddenly, Favaro tells him that if he is a wanted man, he should be more careful. Martinet is confused for a moment, but then Kaiser says the magic spell that makes wanted figures into the collectible cards. The spell activates through his bounty hunter bracelet that is in Favaro's hand, and Martinet is reduced to just a card. Rita immediately starts fixing his injury and then asks Favaro when he returned to his senses. He replies that it happened when Kaiser shot him in the chest with the arrow that was coated with antidote. After that, they came up with a plan to defeat Martinet, and chopping Kaiser's arm became a necessity, or the evil man wouldn't have been fooled. Bak also comes there, and Favaro tosses the bounty card to him. With that, they watch Bahamut shooting his attacks everywhere, and Favaro gets up, declaring that he will stop the destruction of the world. Kaiser wants to help him too, but when Favaro says that he plans to kill Amira to save the world, he loses his cool. Favaro tells him that the old dragon in the forest told him that there was no other way to solve things because now they cannot free Amira since she is fused with Bahamut. Bak tells Kaiser to stop because he knows that Favaro is right. Favaro then asks Bak if he can make him reach Bahamut's head, and he uses his magic to turn his talking duck into a giant so that he can act as a ride. Kaiser also starts climbing the duck's back, and he swears that he will find a way to separate Amira from Bahamut. With that, the giant duck takes off and speeds towards Bahamut. However, the dragon's attack poses great difficulties, and he feels that he cannot get closer to him safely. Kaiser and Favaro keep pushing him on. The duck tries getting closer, but Bahamut actively targets him now, and he almost gets hit by his attack. Favaro wishes that the dragon would stay still for only a minute, and then his wish is suddenly granted. The gods and demons surround Bahamut, using their power to trap it in a barrier. The dragon can't move or attack now, and Favaro declares that this is their chance. They fly through the gaps in the barrier and reach Bahamut's head. Favaro and Kaiser tie a rope around one of his horns as they get off the duck. They try to reach the place where Amira is, but even the slightest movement from Bahamut's side is enough to completely throw them off track. They finally reach the spot where Amira is fused with Bahamut, and Favaro is about to fall off, but Kaiser somehow holds his rope. Favaro then climbs on top of the key and tries stabbing it with Bahamut's fang, but he hesitates, giving Bahamut the time to launch a powerful attack that destroys the barriers created by gods and demons. However, Favaro overcomes his hesitation and plunges his sword into the key mark, recalling the moments he spent with Amira. As soon as he stabs the mark, a bright light is released from Bahamut's head, and in the center of the light, Favaro looks exactly like the Holy Knight from the prophecy Jean used to talk about. Bahamut begins falling, and Favaro is thrown off his position too. He finds himself hanging in front of Bahamut's eye, and then suddenly, Amira emerges from it. She is glad that he came, and Favaro tells her that she made his tail disappear now. She's about to get disheartened, but Favaro apologizes for the poor joke and promises that he will always come to help her whenever she's in trouble. He also says sorry for not being able to save her mom, but she says that it is fine. She says that her mom recognized her when she hugged her, just like Favaro said. Favaro then tells her to forget about Helheim because now he's going to take her to a much better and more beautiful place. She calls him a liar, and he tells her to look into his eyes to see if he is a liar. He stares intensely at her, but then smiles like a fool. Amira suddenly kisses him and keeps at it for as long as she can. She then returns inside Bahamut's eye, fading as she thanks Favaro for everything. Both gods and angels see this as their chance, and they rush towards the incapacitated Bahamut to seal it again. However, it starts glowing as its energy begins overloading its body. Bax's duck tells Kaiser to get on, but he is not willing to leave without Favaro. So the duck just grabs him and flies away seconds before Bahamut explodes, resulting in a giant pillar of light. Kaiser can only scream his friend's name as he sees this, but then even the pillar of energy vanishes completely. Half a year has passed since then, and the royal capital is under repair. Kaiser has become the captain of the knights and is leading the knights to ensure proper safety as the new king is crowned. Somewhere in the capital, an old bartender talks to his guest about the holy men of legends who appeared just as Bahamut revived and defeated him. The bartender asks the customer if he thinks that Bahamut is dead, but the customer disagrees. He says that Bahamut cannot die, he is just sealed in another dimension. As for the holy knight who defeated him, he is also alive. The customer turns out to be Favaro himself, who has lost a leg and is wearing a prosthetic now, but nothing else has changed about him, and he is still the same old carefree person. He rides his horse on the walls of the city when suddenly, Kaiser jumps right next to him. They race on the walls again, just like they did in the beginning, but this time as friends who have saved the world together.